Yes, transitioning over on the start of one of my favorite Harris Heller songs. Everyone on stream can hear it. We unfortunately don't get to enjoy it, but sorry for that. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for another stream of Mission Briefing. I'm very excited about today's episode. I have with me Benny Powers. Thank you for joining me, Benny.
Of course.
And today we're going to be talking about web components, and more specifically Apollo elements, and what you can do working with Apollo and working with web components. So I'm a bit out of the web components landscape. I haven't messed with it for quite some time, so it should be a really eventful stream. And with all that said, I'm going to hand the mic, the air mic, over to Benny. And Benny, why don't you take a second, introduce yourself and maybe Apollo Elements as well, and kind of give a little bit of background about that project, if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Benny Powers. I'm a front-end web developer from Jerusalem. During the week, I work for a company called Acobia out of London, UK. And we're building a platform to help companies reduce their carbon footprints called Newer Energy. And we're using Apollo Elements on our front end. It's a project that I started about 2 years ago, and I've used it at a couple different companies. Open source project, you can get it on GitHub. And basically what it is, it's the glue between GraphQL and web components. So if you want to write your front end using standard web components, and you want to write it with Apollo GraphQL, Apollo Elements puts it together for you.
Boom. Very well stated. I'm grabbing the link right now. Here we go. And I've dropped it in chat for anyone who wants to check it out and kind of follow along with us. Ooh, and I haven't started this yet. Oh, tisk, tisk. Boop. There we go. Start now. Yeah, so this is cool. So that's very exciting. I have read through the project, and it seems like it's also possible to build out to other frameworks. Is that correct? Is this like we can actually use Apollo Elements to, if we wanted to make React components or Vue or Svelte? Is that accurate?
Right, yeah. Like, so the beauty of web components is that when you finish writing them, they're just HTML.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so the whole thing is just HTML and JavaScript,
right?
And with that common interface of HTML and the DOM APIs, you can connect to all the other frameworks. I actually have some demos at the bottom of the front page over there in the different frameworks, how you can use your GraphQL connected web component and import it into your Vue app or your Svelte app. So that's kind of a neat thing where maybe you're at a big company that has lots of different teams and they want to use components in different frameworks, or maybe one team has a particular library or rendering technique that they want to use to write their GraphQL.
Yeah.
So on the other side, so there's kind of two things here. On the one side, once you have the components, you can use them in different frameworks or no framework. And on the other side, Apollo Elements supports lots of different kinds of web components libraries. So you can have different teams writing them in different ways and then using them in different ways.
That's absolutely awesome. That's cool. Yeah, I love that. And you're right. And when you think about it, like web components alone are super awesome just for like the isolation that they provide and the ability to create like I always think of things like tweet embeds or like other things, like when you're bringing things into like an existing space or project, still very useful even when you're building your own. But like, just to me, that is always a use case that I thought like, damn, web components is like really awesome there, because it provides you with that isolation to make sure that anything that you do exists like without being affected by what's happening on the rest of the page. Looking at you, CSS, especially.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could think of like a dashboard component, which like might be its own little mini app.
Yeah.
You could have a whole team that's responsible for that dashboard component with 10 queries and a bunch of different mutations. It's even doing subscriptions and whatever. Yeah. Well, that could just be plugged in using HTML and the DOM to a larger app.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So that was a super good intro. Real quick, I actually just want to take 1 second to give a shout out to Yash in chat real quick. Figured out how to implement some authentication with GraphQL and Apollo server. So we're going to give you a real quick shout out. Awesome work, yo. We love to hear it. Love to see it. I love it. I love seeing people be successful with this stuff. All right, cool. So I guess without further ado, we're gonna build something, y'all. We're not just gonna talk about Apollo elements. We're gonna be about Apollo elements. And so, yeah, we're gonna build a little project. And Benny, I believe that you have like a decent idea of kind of like what we'll be building, right? Or at least using. We're gonna make an API, GraphQL API, and then start from scratch. What do you think we should build? Like, what do you want to? What do you think is the best like way to show this off?
Right, so I thought we'd make like a little to-do app, kind of like your standard demo.
Yeah, love it.
That'll give kind of a nice idea of all the different things that we could do. I think we're probably not going to get to subscriptions today because it's kind of hard to set up on the server side.
Absolutely.
But we're going to have some queries and mutation. We're going to be able to see how the front end comes together.
Awesome, I love it. And real quick, what's up, Kyle? I just caught you in chat. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's perfect. So I guess I'm gonna flip us over to our little like desktop view so that everybody else at home can follow along with us. Cool. All right, so we're flipped over. So what's step one? What's the first thing that I need to do to get started? I've already got the repo for Apollo Elements open. Oh, I did not share my desktop with you yet. Oops.
Yeah, I can't see your desktop.
Yeah, you will
I'm
be
actually
able
going
to.
for my desktop.
In 1 second. Cool. There we go. All right. So that should have taken care of that. You should be able to see my see my desktop now.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
Perfect. All right.
Good. So I think maybe the first thing we should do is set up the mock API, the backend part.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Oh, and this is really cool, folks. So yeah, I learned something new today. So sorry, I got to bring up our chat window so that I can get this link. Boom. Of course, you're going to open in a new browser window. There we go. So yeah, this fake QL. So can you tell me a little bit more about fake QL?
Yes, I don't know much about it, but I found it recently. I was looking up a list of like demo GraphQL APIs, which I'm always looking for, right? Because I'm writing this sort of like chibi framework, so I'm always looking for ways to demo.
Absolutely.
And this came up. So what you can do is they have some presets in that dropdown under source JSON, and you can just pick like the type of app you want to make, and it will give you like a bunch of
no way. Look at this.
JSON for the database.
This is great. Yeah, what a find. I did not know about this. We're definitely going to talk about this on Orbit too. So we do a show on Mondays. I don't know if you're familiar, called Orbit, where we talk about like, things we discover in the GraphQL ecosystem. And this is perfect. This is going to help a lot of folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see. So we could just.
So let's pick the.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. There we go.
Let's pick that one.
All right.
And then you click on that extend JSON button.
Oh, I see. So here's like a sample. This is kind of what you'll get. And then you extend it, and now it's like going to flesh that out further for you. Wow. And so then here, like, let's say I wanted to experiment with my own Apollo server. I could copy this to the clipboard and load that in, or they'll actually deploy it for us.
Right. Yeah. So this will be like your mocked database. I'd actually recommend we should go down and get rid of some of the to-dos because they like populate 50 to-dos there in the list. I think probably 10 is going to be enough for us. But.
I see. Okay, so these are all the to-dos. So I'm just going to like grab like a handful of these and go ahead and knock them out.
Like scrolling down the to-do app like the whole day.
Yeah. For sure. Would you say about 15 or 20 is probably good?
Yeah, I'd say around there.
All right. We'll do 15. We'll keep it nice and short. There we go.
Grab that trailing comment.
Oh, yeah. Boop. There we go. Good catch.
Cool, yeah. So if you hit the deploy API.
Look at that.
So now you have this endpoint over there, and there's a little sort of GraphQL playground as the next link down, your API on FireQL.
Okay. Very cool. All right, so 1 sec. So I'm going to grab, so this is the actual endpoint.
Yeah. So copy that one and like leave it in your pasteboard or something. So we're going to need it in a minute.
Well, I'm actually going to do something different. Instead of using this. Oh, interesting. Did I do something?
Yeah, they have their own sort of playground, which is the your API on FireQL link right there. It's not
Oh.
exactly graph.
Okay, but do you have to use their playground? Is that how that works? Do you know, or is it just an
I actually
API?
don't know if you can. Maybe you can get their introspection query and like run your own one or something like that.
That's what I want to find out, because I use Explorer in Apollo Studio for a lot of the stuff that I do, just because like it's like a GraphQL IDE Dreamboat. But let me go here and
this is good.
Yeah, I like this a lot better. Okay, so this is going to be a development graph, and oh no, what the heck? So this will be elements to do. It's development endpoint. What is happening? Yeah, I keep accidentally clicking outside of the drop down, which is like,
oh no.
Yeah, well, it's like what I would want it to do, which is like close when you click outside of it, but I need to stop. Yes, cool, it works. Great.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so let's do Apollo elements to do, and yeah, create graph. Hell yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Let me query.
Nice.
Yeah, variable user ID, but still, like, it's cool. It's working. It's set up. Let me blow this up just a little bit for the folks at home. There we go. If you're in chat, let me know. Is it my computer's blowing up? Are we lagging or something? Oh, or did you just mean because of the modal closing? If the stream is laggy or something, let me know. We'll fix that. But yeah, and also in chat, let me know if Explorer is not legible. Let me know if that's a little too small for y'all. Okay, but so we should be good to go. All right. So what's next on the list here, Benny? I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, so I think now we're ready to scaffold the front end down.
Oh, yeah? Okay, yeah, let's do that. What is so let me crack open the ye old terminal here. Get that over here in everyone's faces. Blow it up. Blah, 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 blah. Make it nice and legible. Okay, cool. So are we going to create a like bare bones app, like just a folder? Should I start from like a scaffolded project? What do you think is the best approach here?
So we have a generator that'll scaffold the project for us. So let's start with just making a new folder for the app, like a to-do list or something, projects, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, oops. It would help if I add make dir in front of that. Cool. And then CD into it?
Okay, so yeah, let's CD into there. Right?
Cool. All right, we're ready to rock and roll.
Now let's do npm init at apollo-elements.
Like that?
Yep.
That works? What does this do? Can you walk me through this command?
So this is something I found out about recently, but it basically gets the package at Apollo Elements /create and runs it like an npx or something like that.
Oh.
So you could do the same thing like npm init Preact app.
Wow. Okay, hang on. Sorry, I'm adding a marker for me to come back to this later. Okay, very cool. Okay, so that's awesome. I had no idea that existed. Okay, cool. So we're ready to go.
Yeah,
real quick, Motley Dev, thank you for the follow. I saw you jumping in there. We appreciate having you here. Thanks for coming to hang out. All right, so I'm gonna run this, right? We just execute. Boom. Okay. Oh, I have the perfect thing for this for while we wait for that to install. npm installs. This sound was added to the soundboard for npm installs.
I love it.
It's 30 seconds. I'm always curious to see if the sound will finish or npm. We're getting close. 2 seconds. 1 second. Oh.
Oh boy, that's modern JavaScript for you.
Yeah, for real. But hey, it's doing a lot for us under the hood, you know? I don't want to do all that. Hey, there we go. That was awesome.
Oh.
Look at this. Very cool. All right.
Okay, so yeah, let's go with scaffold and app project.
Okay, so boom, just gonna hit that. Ah, and this is
Now
why.
here you're gonna,
Sorry.
yes, exactly. Here you want to paste in the endpoint that we got from
Okay.
PageQL.
All right, cool. Which is this one, the one I actually used for Studio.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. And so then, oops, can I just backspace? Oh, I could just paste.
Yeah,
It's just like a
just
default.
paste it.
Cool. All right, so we've got our URL. Default, just stick with that.
With yes, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now we're going to do another npm install.
Yeah, nice. Love it. Yes, please install that. Launch when ready. What does that mean?
So that's going to launch the browser with the scaffolded app onto our local dev server.
Okay, cool. Yeah, why not? Hell yeah. And one more time.
So what this is doing, like while it's installing all this stuff, is it's going to get all of these dev dependencies, which include the dev server and all of the packages that we need, and also like the GraphQL code gen and a bunch of other stuff.
Nice.
So it's actually going to fetch the schema from our endpoint and code generate some TypeScript typings for us, so that we have all that stuff available in our editor once we're ready to go.
No way. That's a lot. This is doing a lot under the hood, like so much. This is really cool. So type safety.
I mean, once I got onto that TypeScript code generated typings thing, like I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to type this .data.todos and it's all there.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Yeah, type safety is so interesting. It's like you know, I still code some projects like, you know, in plain old JavaScript, but the more that I use TypeScript and the more comfortable I get with it, it's just like that kind of hockey stick learning curve when you get through the basics, right? Like when you have more complex types and data is getting passed around a bit more, things can get a little wonky, or dealing with like types for third-party packages and stuff like that can sometimes be tricky, but the benefits that you get, like once you get around those hiccups, is just like astronomical. You know, it's like you said, all that space in your head gets freed up, right? Because you don't have to worry about data structures and what's available where and all that stuff. So it's very cool. And boom, there we go. So we've got an Apollo Elements app. It's loading up for us here in the browser. And the cool thing with this is we're at the point, you know, Kyle, I can't with you. You're the best. Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, we'll open up VS Code now and I'll start a live share with you and we can get going. And I'll even be able to share my local terminal with you. So you'll be able to load localhost 8004 in your browser, but it will be my local machine. Yeah. That's why we love that VS Code. So, so let me do that. Let me get that going. So this is started. So I'm going to do, new tab, but isn't there a way to do like new tab in this folder, or am I making that up? It's already going to put me in there, right? Yes. Cool. Perfect. All right. So we're going to do code. So get this open in VS Code. Yeah, it's honestly, yeah, like you can just hover over something and see what's there, or start typing and get IntelliSense and autocomplete. Yeah, and yeah, I imagine that is their favorite part. It's just like, so sorry, Kyle is in chat saying that when they show their GraphQL server that's written in TypeScript to people that use JavaScript, that's generally their favorite part, which is like, holy crap, all this information is just, I hover and like, here's this entire data structure available to me. Super powerful. Fun fact, when I was working at Major League Soccer, one of the ways I got buy-in to adopt GraphQL was something like Graphical or Explorer, and getting basically an API browser for free, because like our product teams, QA teams, design teams, they were all very invested in like the APIs. And so whoever created a REST API would generally also be tasked with creating this API browser, right? Something that a non-programmer can come in to use to explore the API. when they realized that like that entire thing that would take people literally months to build properly, they just got because they're using GraphQL, huge. They're like, wait, you mean we don't have to build a browser for every API that we create in the future? I'm like, yeah, imagine all the product, work that they could do, all the features and fixes that could get done in that time frame. And that was a huge selling point. So it's like, people don't realize like the power of explorability and having that information available to you. And that crosses over to development, in my opinion. All right, so we've got this going. So let me start this live share. Hey, Jake! Jake's in the chat. That's awesome. How's it going, buddy? Love to see you. Okay, cool. So what are we doing here? Live share. That's what I'm doing. So we're going to share the project. Oh, are you kidding me? I got to sign in. I don't think this exposes anything, but just to be sure. Yeah, it doesn't. But regardless, we'll bring it over here. All right, so starting up the collaboration session. So let's see how this works. Sometimes when it makes me re-sign in, it might not work properly, but let me get chat going for you and share this. Spending hours trying to figure out how to log things in Rust. Yo, I feel you, homie. Yeah, that's rough, but that actually kind of is a dream. Super excited. Ooh, really cool things happening at Apollo. That's all I'm going to say. But what Jake is working on, I'm very excited about, to say the least. So be ready, folks. It's a coming. It's a coming real soon. As a matter of fact, Jake is going to join me on stream real soon, and we're going to talk about it. Hey, all right, but that's it. That's enough lead up. Sorry, let me get this chat going for to share the link with you. All right, so here we go. Boom. Link is shared. Let's pray that the live share session works on the first try. Sometimes it's a bit wonky to get going, but woo, once it's going, is it beautiful? Hey, it worked.
Hey, cool.
All right, so
we're
in your hacker voice, you are in. So we actually we can do memes in the chat, and I have one called Hacker, and it's really funny because then you can do like really
Hack the Gibson.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if this works. Yes. It never gets old. It never gets old. So you can do meme commands in the chat. I don't know if y'all know that. All right, but here we go. So let's see. All right, you're in the session. So what is next? What's next, Benny? Where should I start? Going into source, I imagine?
Yeah. Okay, so let's...
As a matter of fact,
I think we got some styles, some CSS styles that'll help us out, and I want to install some UI components.
Okay, so let's do this. Why don't we do this? I'm going to set myself to follow you. Oh, wait, I have to open up a file first. I hate that it does that. Okay, I'm just going to open up like main.ts for now, just so that I can get to following you. And what that means is like, as you navigate the project, my VS Code will update and do all that. So that's step one. Come on.
Cool.
It doesn't seem to be wanting to work. Okay. Oh, it is working. Okay, step two, I'm going to get some terminals going and share those with you so that you have the ability to do that. So I've made 2 terminals, and I'll make them read-write.
Okay, nice.
And cool. And now
so it's just like
following.
sudo copy, etc. / passwords, right? That's
exactly. And I'll have to get your address because now that I've shared my terminal with you, you get one of these bad boys. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some UI components installing in the background while we're at it. So this is just like some UI web components, and we'll use that during our building.
Okay. I love it.
And let's take a look at what we have in the app. So basically, like the whole thing is just HTML.
Okay.
And the app, this is like your typical kind of SPA. So what we have here is this Apollo client element,
Okay.
which is, you can think of this as like Apollo client provider or Apollo provider in the React world.
Yeah.
What it'll do is wherever it finds an Apollo element underneath, it'll assign the client to it so that it can access the GraphQL.
Okay.
And then this element here, Apollo app, that'll be like your app root kind of thing. So instead of like, app.mount, whatever, this is just the element that is the app root.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. Cool.
Yeah.
And so this is nunjucks, right? So like for folks who might not be familiar, if you're seeing this, oh no, actually it is HTML, but for some reason my syntax highlighting is calling it a nunjucks file. Never mind. I digress. Yeah, thanks, VS Code. But yeah, so let me switch that to HTML actually, because it is just HTML. And boop.
Kind of like a web component.
Hey, I love it.
Oh.
Nice.
So let's change this to to-do list so we have a nice title. And I'm going to put in also some styles. I'm going to copy from a blog post that I wrote about this little app.
Yeah.
So these will style our UI components, and just got a bunch of other stuff in here.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Because then we can focus on the meat and potatoes and not have to worry about all the styling. Yeah, I love it.
Right. Okay, so if we save those, then we should see that automatically refresh in the browser too.
It actually already has. So when you save, it's saving and updating for me. And I have one last thing to share with you, which is this port. Cool. And now you should be able to load localhost 8004 on your computer and be able to see.
Yeah, I got it.
Heck yeah.
It's pretty cool, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, right? This is, it's been a real game changer for these streams. That's for sure. VS Code live share, saving the day. Awesome. All right, cool. So, all right,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, and for folks who I didn't flip over, but we can see the title has updated. So we have to-do list, and we are ready to rock and roll. So what is next? What's our next step?
Okay, so let's go back to the terminal and run the generator again. So just do npm init Apollo elements, just like we did the last time. But this time, instead of generating an app, we're going to generate a component.
Ooh, okay. So we do, so right here from, I'm just going to do it from within this terminal in VS Code.
Yeah.
Oh, oops, npm init at. So now, I have a question. How does it know not to like redo the project? Oh, we chose. It's running the command line project. We said app.
Yep.
This time we'll say component. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And there are like flags for all of these things, but like it'd be more fun to go through the menu.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I have Docker has just given me such like a. I'm not a fan of flags. Have you ever like had to like run a Docker container and add like a gazillion flags? Yeah. But yeah, okay, that's really cool. So then this will go, and then we'll be able to go right back through the menu. But this time I'm excited to see what the options are under components. Also, real quick, really awesome that this scaffolds this stuff out for you. This is a great project.
Yeah, the generator was a nice little piece that we added in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, where did
Hey baby. Hello. Wanna come, little one? No, she just wants to stand in the door.
Aw.
World's too.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's see. Okay, oh cool. Yeah, so it's just going through and getting the stuff that we need to run the there we go.
Cool. Okay, there we are.
All right, cool. So we've got this. So now we're gonna pick component this time, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, aw, hello. I see a head, a little forehead. It's so cute.
Yeah, so let's pick query component for this
Yeah.
one. And let's call it to-do-list.
So like that, keep it lowercase. Oh, this is the component's tag name. So this is literally going to be like the name of the component in HTML.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's give it a prefix. So let's call it like AE-to-do-list.
Okay.
That maybe be a little bit better.
Oops, what did I do? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna call it. I'm sorry, AE dash.
AE, yeah, like Apollo Elements dash to-do dash list.
Got it. Cool.
So like every web component or custom element has to have at least one dash in the name. That's what makes it part of what makes it a custom element.
Oh.
And it's a common convention to have like a prefix for your app name or something like that.
So there's
dash,
no collisions, right? Because like otherwise you could just end up with two of the same tag names. Okay.
Yeah, you can do. There's ways around that. Like there's a scoped custom elements registry, but that's sort of in the early polyfill stages right now.
Okay, cool.
Take the little one, maybe.
Yeah, no worries. Do your thing. We welcome animals, kids, all kinds of awesomeness on the stream.
Yeah, we love her, but you know.
Yeah.
She's very opinionated.
Absolutely, as 2-year-olds tend to be. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need a subdirectory. This is just so like maybe you have like, you know, dashboard/user as a component or something. But you can just press enter.
Got it. Whoa, look at that. So it created our TypeScript. It created the query for us. It created like the index that's going to tie all this stuff together.
Right. Yeah. So let's import those into app.ts.
Okay.
And what we can do is just anywhere up at the top, just import / to-do-list.
Is this correct, right?
We're in app. We're going back to to-do list. Yeah, it's probably the. Yeah, it's the quotes.
Oh, oops. Needs to be single quotes. Interesting. Oops.
Right. Yeah, it comes with its own ESLint rules as well.
Got it. Cool. Okay. All right. Very cool.
And let's also change the template down in the render method.
Okay.
So instead of like this definition list, we can just put in AE to-do list.
Oops. My cursor was in the wrong spot. It's funny because you highlighted that, and then I tried to like delete what you had highlighted. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. Okay, so here's my question. So we've got AE to-do list. Do I have to? Can it self-close, or do I have to have a closing tag? I'm not sure how that works with components.
So, all of the HTML tags cannot be self-closing except for like a few of them, like input and image and things like that, which were holdovers. But basically, the way I understood it is like the standards people were like, yeah, that was a big mistake. Let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, right? For sure. Okay, so is this correct? What I've got here? Does that look good?
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's try go to definition on the tag name. And it should work if everything is hooked up properly.
Said no definition, but that might just be because.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Maybe not. Okay. So then in that case, let's go to the to-do list file.
Okay. All right. So let's open that up. And it could just be because. Oh, you already opened it. Oops. It could actually be just because like VS Code Live Share and like what's going on. It might also be because I don't have the proper extensions installed. I don't,
Yeah, probably. There's something called lit plugin or something like that, which will give you all of that autocomplete on custom elements by property and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, all right. So we're inside of to-do lists. Let's walk through this if you don't mind. I'd love to kind of, see like what's going on in here.
Cool, sure, yeah. So we have like all the Apollo element stuff up here. We have like the base class for a query component, and then like HTML, custom element, and template result. Those are just re-exports from lit element, which is our UI layer. And then we have those like sweet code-generated TypeScript typing that we got over there for our query. Which comes straight from the schema from the server. This style that we're importing, it's importing it as a JavaScript object from to-do list.css, and that's just a regular CSS file. and it'll end up being registered on our element statically. So all of these tags throughout the app will have those styles.
Okay.
And it's also, there's like a shared style sheet as well that you can do for all your tags.
Gotcha. So that's kind of like your global styles in a sense. Like you could just have like a
like quote unquote global,
right.
But like shared,
yeah.
Shared among, shared privately, I guess. Right. And then we're also going to import the to-do list query, and this is going to be transformed using GQL,
right,
by way of our build list dev server and roll up when we build for production.
Gotcha.
And so then we're going to get that as a GQL tagged file, tagged object, right?
Hell yeah.
And so the way this works is that when we assign a document node to the query property over here, whenever it hits the DOM, it automatically starts querying.
Very cool. And so like, it's just, I guess, listening like, oh, I've been rendered, time to fetch like whatever data is needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, this is awesome. And then, so here we have the return template, which I could see is kind of just empty, right? We have this like HTML, what are these called? What is this? A tag template?
It's
literal?
A tag template literal.
There we go.
Yeah. So the HTML object here is just a function. And you can actually see, if you hover over it, you can see its function signature.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yep.
Right. So all of these, like just like the GQL tag is a function that returns an object. So HTML is as well. And I don't want to get too deep into like inside how lit HTML works out, but it's basically, if you think of like a VDOM as sort of an optimized way to render DOM based on the model, like data, UI as a function of data. So lit HTML is basically accomplishing the same thing, but without any VDOM. So instead of like representing the whole DOM in memory and then, comparing it to the real DOM and synchronizing it, what it does is it just knows where your interpolations are.
Gotcha.
And so whenever one of those interpolations changes, it knows where the corresponding DOM node is and updates the context.
That's actually really clever. So it's like, because I'm pretty familiar with how these templates work, which is essentially you just end up with an array of the strings and then an array of the values, and the values just drop into where those like breaks in the strings are, essentially, correct? Right? Like, isn't that the gist of it?
Yeah, exactly.
And so then if value in string like, or value in slot like 0, index 0 changes, then it's like the string that is associated would also need to be updated. Very clever. That's really cool.
Right. Yeah. So like the static side, the string side stays the same, and that's like your DOM, right? But then like the child nodes, or maybe the value of an attribute, or maybe the property on an element, just that's the part that updates. Exactly.
Okay, cool. So that makes a lot of sense. Real quick, Paul Judy, hey, what's up, Paul? Thank you for the follow. And who is Ryosuke? I think I got that one right. Let me know if I got that right or if I completely butchered it. But thank you for the follows, y'all. Thanks for joining us. And it looks like Motley Dev might have squeezed in there too. Thank you for a follow. All right. So what's next? I guess we got to return some actual HTML. Is this kind of what we want to do here, right? We just want to, okay, cool. Actually, maybe do you want to kind of take the lead right here and
yeah, sure. I'll try for
yeah.
So what I want, since we know what we want to do is render a to-do list, so let's first grab our to-do items from the model, right?
Yeah.
So in the element, all of your data is available on the data property, right? So since we're doing an array, I like to use nullish coalescing.
Okay.
So we'll get this.data, and then if we look over there, if you would hover over data, you would see it gets the to-do list data.
Ah, yeah.
And then to-dos or the empty array.
Gotcha.
Oh, I forgot to do.
Yeah.
Do the optional chaining.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, although it does say to-dos does not exist on to-do list query data, so I don't know.
Oh, that's true. We didn't define our query yet, right?
Oh.
Right. So this what it comes with when it scaffolds, just as like a placeholder that won't trip up the code gen.
Yeah.
Right? But so let's make a query over here. Do you want to do this part?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll go ahead and take it from here. So we're going to query for, and I can probably guess. Actually, why don't we jump over here and not guess, and we can just like literally figure out what we want to do. So I'm gonna get rid of a lot of this stuff. We're gonna add to-dos, and then we'll do Arguments, I think we'll just bring them in. There's only 15, so let's grab.
Yeah, we just need the,
yeah,
at this point at least.
ID. We'll grab the, so then this is on-field user. It's just asking for what they want. So we'll just grab their first name. I'm going to jump back and we're going to go into the, well, we'll get done and then we'll go into the task. Yeah. Oh, task is a string. Cool. So there we go. So that's our query. So we're going to run this and there we go. So we can see that it's in fact working. I'm going to copy out the meat and drop it into, what is with me in food analogies today? There we go. So we've got this, and that should be our query.
Okay, so if you save that in the terminal that's running the npm start, I think that was the
that's like the terminal. Yeah.
So it should regenerate all the code stuff.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So it regenerated all of our code.
Cool.
And now if we head back into to-do lists, and then if you hover over to-dos, this data to-dos.
Look at that.
Bang, right there.
That's super intuitive. That's a really nice developer experience. I like this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked pretty hard on that one.
Bet.
Okay, so now let's render our DOM, right? So the syntax is a little bit different than JSX that you might be used to, but like the concept's pretty well mapped. So let's start with an ordered list.
While you're typing
Actually, you know what I wanted
that out real quick, Jacob Bolda coming in with the follow. Thank y'all, showing a lot of love to the Apollo stream this morning. Well, morning for me anyway. And I appreciate y'all. Thanks for jumping in. Ooh, cool. This looks awesome. MWC. I can't wait to figure out what's going on here.
So this is the material web components. And so this tag functions kind of like the OL tag. And then we'll put in a material list item underneath which functions.
So this is like, that's cool. So somebody has made a bunch of web components to follow material UI and we can essentially just dump them in and use them. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, it's the material UI team, actually. It makes sense.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's grab our to-dos.
Yeah. And
we'll just map over with each to-do. It was task, right?
Yeah, ID, task. I think it would be user would be, yeah, actually we don't really need the user, but yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then here, what we're going to do is just return another lit.html template, right? So we're nesting templates and composing them together. And now let's give this an ID. Now, ordinarily in like regular HTML development, your spidey sense would be tingling at this point, being like, whoa. Yeah. What are you doing? Setting an ID dynamically from the database on your element. You can't do that in HTML. Right? Well, you can if you're using Shadow DOM, right? Because all of the IDs in here are scoped to our shadow, to our element, right?
Yeah.
So they don't interfere with the rest of the app.
That's awesome.
So we have our list item. Let's put in our task, which is the string, and a checkbox.
Wow, they even have a checkbox.
There's a checkbox and a form field I wanted to do, actually. I always get these imports wrong, so we'll see if it ends up working.
That's funny. Should I go ahead and flip to a new terminal and install that package, or is that already available?
Those ones we did earlier on. We already installed them.
Oh, oops. Okay, cool. Very cool.
I think this is how the API works over here.
We will figure it out. I'm sure it'll tell us if we bork it.
Right. So the way this is kind of like a label element, and then you put your control inside, and then it gets like all the spacing and typography and whatnot from.
And then if like you click the label, it will also probably, I imagine, like update the checkbox because of that. Okay, very cool.
Okay, so let's give that a spin and see how that does for us.
Yeah, so we come over here to our to-do list. Let me reload this. We might have an error. Let's check the console. Internal server error.
Okay.
Well, oh, let's check the terminal. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, let's check the
Could not resolve import material MWC list.
Yeah, there it is. Did we install it earlier?
I don't remember installing any material stuff, honestly.
Let's double check.
Yeah, we could check the package JSON, right?
Yeah, it's list specifically that we didn't do.
That's wild.
So
okay.
Hit the terminal. And we have form field, but we don't have list.
Got it. Cool. So yeah, so we'll let that go ahead and install. And while that's doing, I'm just gonna kind of like parse through this file. So this what are these called again? These are directives, correct?
Decorators.
Gosh, yeah. I got to get out of GraphQL world more often. Yeah, not a directive, a decorator. Yeah, and so that's cool. So you're using decorators, and then this is like a defining. Hey, this is what the tag is going to be.
Right. So this is like that decorator basically does the same thing as custom elements dot define AE to do list is comma to do list element. Which is built into the browser. Like you can open up the browser terminal and run that command with a class.
Yeah.
And it would just go.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. I love it. It's very clean. By the way, this looks like
yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so we have that installed. Let's refresh and see if that fixed it for us.
Wrong page. No, still something. Let me jump back here. Or maybe I have to restart.
Could be.
Yeah, because it says, so list. Yeah, it's still saying MWC list. Or maybe I had to save it on my side. Let me check and just make sure that yeah, this still says calculating. We might have to restart it. Maybe we should just restart it.
Yes. Yeah, so let's run npm start.
All right, cool.
Sometimes when you add files, it messes up the watcher and it doesn't know like where they are.
Absolutely. So what I'm also going to do is take this opportunity to get rid of the terminal. We're going to terminate that, and then I will do this over here in tab 1. And so now at this point, because it's already run, we're just running npm start. We don't have to like re-init and set up the app. It's just boom, it's going to do that.
Yeah, it's just right there. It does the code gen for you, does the server for you.
Yeah, and if we notice this time, so we've already seeing a difference. Let me check and make sure that we're not getting any errors. Yeah, no errors. Boom, look at that. Look at that. Yo, we got a to-do list. I love it. All right. Yeah, cool. Let me blow it up a little bit so everybody can see that. Wow. First of all, we have not done a lot of coding at all. We have done, literally, we scaffolded a project and changed one file, pretty much. And we have a functioning, kind of functioning. We haven't done mutations yet, but like, it's listing data. We have checkboxes that we could check things as done and not done. I mean, we're working with an app here. I'm just like I get very excited about tools, frameworks, everything that allows me to focus on actually building things, right? It's like, that's what developer experience is all about, right? Is to eliminate the gap or close the gap between you having an idea and a finished product, right? And this is really cool. This is very powerful app building stuff. Yeah, love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I invested a lot into like the DX side of things. Like you're talking about the TypeScript learning curve, right? And internally inside Apollo Elements, there's some like really gnarly types going on.
Yeah.
And the idea was always like, how can I make this easier for the developers so that they don't have to deal with this, gnarly mess.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is awesome. Cool. Real quick, Gators. Oh, sorry. Hang on one sec. I just want to shout this out. Gators, thank you for the follow. My bad. Continue on.
Of course. I just want to point out a couple little quirks about lit HTML before we move on over here. So if you scroll down to the template part, right? So if you see the little question mark before checked in the checkbox element.
Yeah.
Right, so that check mark signifies that checked is a Boolean attribute. right? And just to refresh your memory, like Boolean attributes are true when they're present, regardless of what the value is.
Yes.
Even if it's an empty string, it's true. And if it's not there, it's false.
Interesting.
Right? So because of that, we're indicating over here to lit element, to lit HTML, set this attribute if the value, interpolated value done is true, and remove it if it's not, right?
Got it.
Whereas like ID and label, those are regular attributes, so we don't have to set those with the check mark.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it's a really...
Right? Now, we could have done this with a period also, right? So what that would do is set the checked DOM property on the element's DOM object.
Oh, right? Interesting. Interesting.
And it happens to be that MWC checkbox would behave the same way because it would pick up that change to the property and reflect it to the attribute and vice versa, right? But it's good to know, it's good to be aware of the distinction.
Yeah, because that is the material web components team handling that for you. But if you were just using lit HTML on your own, that could be like a gotcha essentially, because it...
Right, like with a native HTML input, for example, if you set the value attribute, that only represents the initial value.
Yeah.
So you'll be like, how come it's not updating?
Got it.
Because the platform doesn't do that, right? But if you set the property, it will update.
Got it. Mechanically dev with the follow. I don't know what is going on this morning. I love you all, but thank you so much for dropping in here with all these follows. Love it. Okay. All right. So what's next? So we've got our list. We've got that functionality going. I think like the next step, right, is like we want to be able to actually change within our API these values, like true or false, right?
So why don't we add a to do list item?
Ooh, I like it.
How about that?
Hell yeah.
Okay. So let's init another component.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump over here to terminal 2, and I'm starting to get this down. Apollo elements, right? It's with an S at the end?
Yes. Right.
Cool. Yeah, and so for folks who might have just tuned in, I know a couple people have just followed within the last few minutes, so you might have missed this. This is a really neat trick that will actually, what we're doing is like, we're already in a project. So we're not just running npm init like to create a package JSON and like set it up and represent this as like a project that can be managed with npm. This is actually looking at the Apollo elements npm package and what it would run in its create. Like it's like looking.
So this is downloading the Apollo elements / create package and then running it as a node script.
That's right. Okay. And so how does it know to go to the create package? Is that just like a industry standard? Is that how that works? Like if you have a create package?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's the convention. So if you name your package create dash blah, 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 and then you type blah, 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 like create React app, for example, it'll run that. Or if you name it at scope / create, it'll run that with the app.
Boom. So when you were talking about create React app, I was thinking somebody had like something called React app and a project, like a package called create, but no, like if it starts with create and then has a dash, you can run a init with it. That's amazing. Oh, have fun in your meeting, Jacob, as much as you can. And we'll check you later. Thanks for stopping by. But that's really cool. I didn't know that, which means like to take that a step further, like you said, we could do npm init React app. You just leave off the create part and it's going to know to go grab that project. So you could do that with like a Next.js, create Next.js project, like all of these different ones. Very cool. That is really cool. Okay. So we're going to do another component, right? All right, let's see.
And this time choose mutation.
And then this time we'll do create to do.
So to do create to do.
Yeah. We'll do to do create because we have to do list. We'll stick with that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So boop, and then no, we'll leave that blank. And so that was for anyone else who might just be joining. That was just like what subdirectory, but we don't need that. We want it to go right into the source. I think I broke it. Oh no, it's just like.
Well, you didn't. didn't exactly break it. This is the code gen dying because the code gen did its best to try and figure out what you want to do, but our mutations actually have a different name. So let's go in and edit the to-do mutation.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, so, let me see if I can just actually go back, yeah, to following you. So I am following you again. So we are back in to do create. Okay, so, yeah, this is our mutation. Let's go to Explorer and take a look at this. So we're gonna get rid of this and we'll go to root. We want mutation, create to do. We will pass in, and do we need to pass in the ID ourselves? Probably, right? Because it's like a fake server.
I don't think so. When I tested it out, I didn't need to pass the ID, but I did need to pass a user ID.
Okay. All right.
Oh, these are the fields that are coming back, right?
Oh yeah, these. Oh, oops. Yeah, these are the fields that are coming back. It already has a create to do input. Oops, my bad. Yeah, so we don't really care about the user. Let's get the. What am I doing? Yeah, so let's get the fields we do care about, which would be, well, yeah, the ID. We'll want that. And then we will want the task and done, right? I feel like that's really all we need.
Yeah, and what's the name of the input though? We're going to need that for the code gen, or else it'll complain.
Yes.
It's so the input there is create to do input,
yep.
And ours is called to do create input. So we'll just update that in the file.
Got you. Oh, now I got you. Yes, yes, and we'll change that. And okay, so I'm gonna grab this internal part, and because we're gonna need that. Actually, but it's named differently, right? Let me go back here and see. Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. All right, let me just do this, and so then we can just. I'm just gonna change this to. Oh no, actually, that needs to be like that.
The name could just be like the variable name could just be input, but we do need to change the name of the type.
There we go, like that. Oh, at the top we need to change the name of the type. Here, it's create to do. Yeah.
The input name was create to do. Yeah, change. Oh. Let's keep the mutation name.
Dude, I am all over the place. Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. This is what we need to change, and that is create to do inputs.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Great. So now that matches our schema.
Yep.
And so now our code-generated TypeScript types should also match our schema.
Okay. So now we want to.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that. Okay. There we go. So the errors are disappearing. That's very cool.
Nice.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, okay, so I thought for this component we might use a different web components library to render it. We were talking about how like there's a lot of flexibility in the library. Yeah. And I know that you guys and gals, like hooks around here, so I thought we might try using the React Hooks API, but for web components.
Yeah, love it. Let's do it.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the haunted package in Apollo Elements, and that's going to give us our hooks. And it's also going to install haunted, which is the web components hooks implementation.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I wonder why they called it haunted.
You will have to ask Matthew P.
I should, really.
Okay, so while we're at it, I'm going to bring in, I think, use state as well. That'll be useful. And there's a cool trick that Haunted can do with Apollo Elements. The class-based libraries can do this as well, but it's a little more clunky to use. Since we're calling use mutation, we can pass in a types document node, and then it'll line up all the types for us automatically. So we didn't generate a type document though, but we can fake one up. So let's call it to do create mutation equals, and this will be a typed document node, and the types are going to be our data and variables.
Yeah.
And we'll just call that to do create. And this one we need to import that from Apollo.
Look at that.
Cool.
Look at you flying around. This is awesome. All right. Okay,
Cool. Now,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say I'm noticing
Okay,
some
yeah, so-
red squigglies. Sorry, audio delay. I apologize. But yeah,
Yeah, all good.
yeah. What's up with this? We still need
So-
to do more, right? Is that the issue?
Yeah, let's just quickly refactor the file. We'll have our same tag name, but we're going to use this component function, which will turn our hooks function into behind the scenes. It turns it into a class.
Whoa.
And then we'll register it on the. And then here, this will just be a function, because hooks.
Hooks, yeah. Oh, right. Now this is making sense. We're using hooks. We don't need a class. We have to change that. We have to export really like a function. And then custom elements in that component function are going to do the magic for us of making that all look or work, that functionality come together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And we're going to satisfy TypeScript as well. Oops. Okay, let's bring this one in from Apollo Elements. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Most things. I think we got a type issue here.
Cool.
All
Nice.
right. There
Cool.
we go.
So,
Ooh, I think
What
we have
we
an
should do now,
error here at the end of the file. Is that... Did we miss something?
am I missing a parenthesis or something?
I don't think so. It could just be laggy. Like it could just be... Oh, new line required at end of LOL. Sorry. There you go.
There we go. Nice. Okay, sweet.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think we're ready to go. So we have use mutation and use state, and these work basically the same as they do in the React versions. So let's get task and set task. Set that as an empty string. That'll be our input. And then we'll want our mutate function and our resulting data and the loading state.
Yeah.
And we could also pull off the error state and all the other goodies that come from
Right,
that, but
right.
For the sake of brevity.
Absolutely.
And to do create mutation will be in there. Now, if we did this properly, then we should get back data here with, that's got our type, our code generated type, right? So like we get like data dot, dot create to do.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Okay, so
Okay.
now we're going to need an event handler for the input, right?
That's a good call. Yes, we will.
Take the events and we will set task with event target value.
Boom. Easy enough.
And, yep. And let's pull in some more of those nice material UI components that we had from before. Let's take text field and button. I think that's all we're going to need here, right? Text field and button.
Probably, right? Just like enter it and hit submit. I think we'd be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll do our text field. We'll give it a label, which will be like new task. Now, this label property here on text field, under the hood, it'll handle all of the accessibility and whatnot, and it'll, like all the ARIA and label elements.
Oh, wow.
However, the implementation of Grill is underneath. And it'll also give us our nice little UI of the floating label. Let's make this outlined as well. And now let's do our event listener. So the way you do that in lit HTML is just with the @ symbol. And we're going to do this on input.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
So that's good. And we want our MWC button. Same story with the label, and we'll do this on click.
And then this would be like where we're going to call our mutate function, essentially.
Exactly. And here we want to pass in our, let's actually change this to on click save or something.
Yeah, and do the bulk up here.
Now this should already be typed, our mutate function. It is, yeah, that should already be typed. So we need an input variable
That is
with
great. Look at that.
Ask. And in a second, we're going to find out what we're missing here. We are missing user ID.
Yeah.
Right. So again, for the sake of brevity, we'll just pretend to be Mike.
Love it. I think. Oh, done.
And it is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Let's give a chance to catch up. And yeah, we're good.
Wow.
So we could also pass in here like optimistic and all the other good stuff that if we wanted to do, but we'll leave it for now, I think.
That's really cool. So like I mean, it's basically full on Apollo functionality, and you can do whatever it is you need to do. Optimistic responses, all of that fun jazz.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Last thing I want to do here is pull our inputs.
When we're loading. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we have our AE to do create. What we want to do is add this to our app. Let's put this on top.
It's so funny.
Actually.
I was just about to say that. I was like, if you don't mind, let's move it to the top.
Exactly. Put an HR or something for now.
Yeah, works for me.
And let's not forget to import it also.
Oh, yeah, good call.
All right, let's see how that rolls.
Our app's already updating. Here we go. Load it up. Hey, there it is. I was going to bring up the terminal, but there we go. So we've got our new task.
Okay.
So should I try it?
Yeah, try it out.
Boom. Okay. Now the question is...
We didn't write an updater function.
Huh?
We did not write an updater function.
Exactly.
Right?
So, but if we reload, we should see it. Once our to-dos load. Uh-oh. Did I break it? T.getStore is not a function. That doesn't seem related to you. Well, that's weird.
Yeah. This is why you don't live code, everybody.
Yeah, right? But what's weird is now I don't have any error. Well, let's do like a hard refresh. I don't know why that would matter, but... okay, yeah. Well, let's go look at our console and see what's going on there. There's probably...
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, I think something just happened. Yeah. I'm just going to restart it, right?
Why don't we check in the Explorer? Yeah, let's also check in the API Explorer and see if it got sent over.
Good point. Let's do that. Okay. Boop. Cannot return null for non... Oh. I think because... Interesting.
Oh, so I think this is like how their server works, maybe. Maybe we sent the wrong input or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we returned a non-null field where we couldn't. So we would have had to go a step further with what we had to do. But let's see, I'm very curious, like, what is it that is, oh, there's no first name. So, and our query is asking for a first name. So if we do like this,
try changing it to ideas.
Yeah, I'm just going to remove it.
Oh yeah.
Let's just get rid of it. And that works, right? So if we come back here and we update our query and we remove this and we save it, we should get it. Boom. There we go.
There it is.
And if we come down here, make a to-do mutate function. Look at that.
Nice.
Heck yes. Heck yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is really awesome. So my
Okay, cool.
my next question to you is like, we really have about like, I mean, I don't have like a hard time stop, but we have about like 10 or 15 minutes coming up to like the scheduled time. So my question is, do you think it's worthwhile to add more, or do you want to just kind of like recap what we did and maybe talk about the project, where it's going and stuff like that? It's up to you. I'm loving this. I'm happy to do either. I just want to be respectful of your time and see what you think would be the most valuable use of that.
Well, I did have one more trick up my sleeve that I was hoping to demonstrate here. So
Yes.
If you're down, I'm ready to keep going.
Absolutely down. Yeah, let's do it. I can't wait to see what it is.
Okay, cool.
Real quick, CP McManaman 1. I think that's right. Thank you for the follow. Cool. All right. So yeah, let's do it. What do you got?
Cool. Okay, let's head back into our to-do list element.
Okay, so to-do list. Here we go. And I'm going to jump back into follow Benny mode. Boom. There we go. Cool. All right.
Nice. So what we have here is, like we said before, like the checkbox doesn't do anything. It just looks nice on the screen.
Yeah.
But what we want is for this to actually
Update.
issue a mutation and update our stuff,
Yeah.
right? So we can do that. And we can actually do it without defining a new mutation component.
Okay. Now
So
I'm interested.
let's do that.
Yeah, I'm interested.
So we're going to bring in components. So this is unlike this Apollo query base class that we're importing in order to define our query component,
Right.
which is just a base class. It's not registered as a custom element.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is actually registered as a custom element called Apollo mutation, and it comes with a bunch of extras that can help us, get our job done.
That's awesome.
So down here in our form field, let's wrap that. Okay, that's pretty good. Now what we want to do is, here's what we're going to do. Let's put this in here. I'm actually not quite sure if this is going to work, but let's try it. What we're going to do is put our mutation inside of the form field, and then we're going to slot this checkbox in.
What? So hang on. So we got, all right, so all we've done so far really is like import this Apollo mutation, right? And then we've done slot variables. Okay, yeah. Sorry, okay.
You know what? I've had a change of heart. Let's actually make this the trigger.
Okay.
And in fact, I think we can make this one the trigger even. So the trigger slot on this component is like in order to set the mutation going or something like that.
Got it. And so now because you're putting it on the label, it should fire for both, essentially. Is that the
right?
Okay.
Yeah. The key is it slots, like I couldn't slot this in to this as the trigger because this isn't a child of Apollo mutation. I couldn't slot this.
I see. So real quick, the word slot and like what you're doing, can you give me just like a quick explanation of like what that means, what it's doing for us?
Yeah, of course. So custom elements that have shadow DOM can also have slots. And we talked about Shadow DOM being the private area of the element,
Yeah.
right? So like we talked about how this ID isn't going to affect the outside app because it's encapsulated inside the Shadow DOM.
Right.
Right? But we also want our components to be composable. Right? So we want, for example, this form field component wants to have a place, a slot set within it. This is where the checkbox goes with exactly this padding and spacing and whatever according to material design.
Okay.
Right? So this form field component has an anonymous slot, right? So inside the Shadow DOM of form field is a slot element that doesn't have a name attribute, and whatever content you put in there gets slotted into that slot.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
And then their CSS and JavaScript knows how to deal with that.
Right.
So same thing for a poly mutation. It has a trigger slot and it has variable slots. So we could put in here like an MWC text field.
And you could say variables.
And then,
yeah. Okay.
Right. And so what it'll do is whenever you go to mutate, it'll check all of the inputs that are in the variable slots, get their variables, I mean, and we could say that this is called the task variable.
Now, okay. And so like it would literally pull all of that for you, and then like you would have that available to do like whatever it is you're going to programmatically do with it. Am I close?
Yeah, like you wouldn't even have to do it programmatically in this case.
Oh, like you just do it and it knows like it's going to slot those now I'm getting it. We're creating a mutation. A mutation function takes a variables prop. And so then it's going to put those in that place. Okay. I'm with you now.
Exactly. So if we give this element, the parent element, an input key, and we call it input. So what these two lines mean is that when I click the trigger, send a mutation that has one variable called input, and that input object has one property called task.
Wow.
And that task property takes its value from the text field.
Wow.
So it's declarative mutations in HTML.
Yeah, that's...
And it gets worse because we're actually going to declare...
I think you mean better.
Well, it depends on your perspective, I guess. So we're actually going to declare our
mutation right here?
Right?
Cool.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Update to do input. And then we're going to update to do with our input. I think that should work. Now I'm going to take ordinarily what we'd want to do is like toggle the UI. So like the editing state is going back and forth and whatever, but for our purposes, I think it'd be easier if we just made them all in editing state because I don't want to take too much time.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you're right. But like ideally we'd have this thing where like you click on it or whatever and it would flip over to the editing state and you'd be able to edit it right in line.
Right.
Got it.
Exactly. And that you can see how to do that in the blog post about how to make this to-do app.
Oh, perfect.
Which is on the Apollo Elements blog.
Okay. Real quick, I'm going to grab
and also
the link to the repo again for folks who have come and joined here. And then I'm also going to grab the apolloelements.dev URL so that people can go check out that as well. So if you're coming in late, this is where you can find everything, folks, about what we're doing today. Wow.
Okay, so I have a question mark in my mind about whether it's going to get the Boolean value from this or not. So let's find out.
Okay.
If it ends up not working on the stream, there are like other ways around it. I left in a bunch of escape hatches and stuff like that. So
nice, cool.
Not too much to worry about.
Okay.
Okay, so this should. Hopefully this will just go.
All right, so I'm reloading. So this web dev server is started, page is loaded. So here we go. Okay, so what we have now is save. I don't know if you can see this. Actually, you should be able to see it on your browser too.
Yeah, yeah, I see that over there.
Is this right?
Oh, this is cool. This is a good option. Yeah, well, we got the button. We're missing some of the inputs. So
Yeah,
this is a good opportunity to demonstrate how we debug web components.
that is, yeah.
So like we're not going to install, we're not going to install like lit elements, dev tools, or anything like that.
But it does
We're just going to
exist.
right click on this. No, the lit element dev tools are the browser dev tools,
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
right? Because it's just HTML.
Yeah. All right, so I'm bringing up, here we go. Very cool.
Let's close down the button. We don't need it to see its shadow root. Let's go up one level.
Oh, I see.
And let's keep going up a little bit.
I see now. Okay.
So the Apollo mutation has its shadow root. Let's open up MWC text field.
All right.
Okay, that's rendering. It could be I just got the wrong slot name. Maybe there's no S on the end of the variable. Let's try that.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, indeed.
There we go.
So that looks a little ugly with the stock thing. We didn't do the CSS, so I'm going to change the text fields to outline, so we'll be able to read them.
Bingo. There we go. Very cool.
Okay, great. Let's see if we can do one of these. Let's see if I got it right.
All right, so I'm going to take this, it's very tricky, and save it, right? So just hit save.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now if I reload the page, it should be checked, right?
Yeah, ideally.
Let's find out. Here's the moment of truth, folks. I wish I had a good sound for this, like the anticipation.
Yep. Please. Oh, we can do it.
Okay.
So let's watch the network panel and see what happens.
I like that. Oh, like what are we sending along? I like this. Okay, so we'll clear this out. We'll check this and we'll hit save. And let's bring this up, give it some space. Okay.
Argument ID of type ID.
Oh, we didn't provide an ID for the
right.
element.
Right. Okay, so since we know the ID in advance, we don't have to create like a new input element for the ID. We can just set it as a data set mutation element.
Yeah, because we have it. We're like inside this loop, so it's all available to us. Okay, cool.
Right. So that'll be the ID. So the input. Yeah, it's got the input key as inputting ourselves. What we're going to end up here with is a single variable with the name input, and that's going to have an ID property. It's going to have a variable property, a task property, and it's going to have a done property.
Yep. Okay. Very cool. So because you're putting data ID here, that's going to automatically add that ID to this input key input. Is that correct? Is that what I'm gathering here?
Yeah. In other words, when a polymutation element sees that it has an input key property or attribute, it'll say, "Oh, all of my variable things are supposed to go inside of that one."
Okay.
For more complicated cases where you need like a big nested object or something like that, it's better to do it imperatively and set variables. Like we could do the same property, not attribute, but property on the Apollo mutation element.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. All right, that makes sense. All right, cool. So let's try this again. So we're going to check this. I'm going to clear the network tab so we can see what goes on. We'll do that. And then I'm just going to check here first. Update to do. It still says it was not provided for ID.
Okay.
But this is actually making me question the entire structure of this mutation.
Yeah, maybe the mutation is not going.
Oops, history. Where's my mutation? Oh, I never ran it. I never executed it. Wah, wah, wah. Let's go look here. We'll go look in the, in here.
Ours is in HTML.
Where? I'm sorry?
Yeah, in to-do list.ts.
Oh, oops, right. Okay.
No, we don't have to set our mutation with HTML in this case. Like we could set it as like dot mutation as the property mutation.
Right.
But you know, I'm trying to show off. You know how it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Our mutation is here, not in the file. That's right. This seems right.
All right, let's check the mutations property on the element. So if you go back to the browser DevTools.
Okay. Let's do. Oops. Browser to the DevTools. Okay. So we want to. So we've got the mutation. It has the data
Right.
ID.
Yeah. So just click. Right. Yeah. So just click on that element.
Okay.
And if you open up your console.
Like
browser console, right?
Yeah. Okay. Isn't there a way to have it pop open? Oh, can't you do like $0 or something?
Yeah, exactly right. So what I was saying about how the browser dev tools are the web component dev tools is that we're just, that's our component. That's the
cool.
Instance of our component.
Yeah.
We don't need to do any magic or that.
And there it is. Look at that.
So let's check the variables property on that and see what we get. Like $0.variables.
Ah, gotcha. Input, which is what we would expect. ID, task, and done. I'm very confused. We have the properties we need.
So is ID supposed to be an integer?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, I can see also the done an empty string over there, right?
Oh yeah, so that's actually something you wanted to check too, which doesn't seem to be affecting us, but it's not doing a true false like what we would want. But yeah, let's go check to see if ID should be an integer, and we can check that here. So if I just go to schema docs, input, create. Oh no, we want update. Wait, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Update.
There's an update to do.
In our input. It says type ID. It doesn't. I can't remember how to figure out the actual type for it.
User.
Oh, it's user ID. It's user underscore ID.
Wait.
It doesn't have the task ID. That seems weird.
Okay, that's a little weird, but. So I'm going to set this user ID to 1. I think we're getting into like problems that you experience when you use an automatically generated demo.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's really weird. That would be. The argument goes in ID at the root. And then it also takes an input. Oof. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so this is a good opportunity to demonstrate some of those imperative escape hatches that I was mentioning before.
Yeah, because user ID is not required. Honestly, none of them are. So, but yeah, we have to push ID up to the like as an input level, like, well, you know, but yeah.
Right. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to, instead of declaring our variables here, because this is like the way they set up the API is already outside of the scope of like the declarative part of the component. And if you want to see how it works declaratively, check out the blog post. But we have the escape hatch, and we're going to use that to set our variables. So the way that works is using the will mutate event. And we can just grab that will mutate event and set variables on the component before our mutation actually goes on the server. Right?
Cool. That's really cool.
So we need the ID of the task, right? And then we need input user ID. Let's set that as 1. And then the task is going to be a value from the text field. Oops. I did it again. Okay. And done is going to be the checked property over there.
So this is interesting. So essentially what you've done here is, like, instead of doing it the more declarative way that we have represented down here, it's like, oh, okay, well, we've hit a situation where this mutation has a weird API, like so we're gonna bail out of that and go to the will mutate and kind of take more control, programmatic, imperative control over how this data gets sent along.
Exactly, exactly. I could have also done like set variables over here as like,
Ah,
and then like set event listeners on these inputs, and then set component state, and do. I could have done it that way, and in fact,
gotcha.
I actually probably would have, but you know, just for
Right.
the sake of the demo, it
Yeah.
should be fine.
Okay, cool. So my next question is now because we're doing will mutate and we're taking the variables. Oh, we do still need
Right.
that stuff because otherwise it doesn't know what variables are, right? Like we're saying data variable. So that needs to all stay. And the slots still need to stay so that when mutate comes through, it knows these are the things that it's pulling and where to get them from.
Right. Yeah, I think we probably don't need the data variable stuff,
Okay.
but we do need the slots, because if we don't put the slots in, it won't render in the shadow DOM of the. But by render, I mean it won't be recognized as being an element in the shadow DOM of the thing.
Got
right?
it. Okay.
It's not like a rendering process.
Got it. It's more like a correlation, like drawing the connections between, as opposed to like rendering.
Yeah. Because the poly mutation doesn't have an anonymous slot, so any content that's not in a named slot won't be.
Got it. Okay. Cool. All right.
Let's see if it works.
Okay, so we're ready. We're ready to test this out. Cool. All right, so I'm going to reload. I think it already did for us, but that's just habit.
Probably.
Okay, so cool. So we've got this. I'm going to also jump over to network. We'll clear this out. We'll hit this and we'll save. All right, and we'll check out our response. Still getting the ID error, which is flabbergasting.
Oh, yeah. We didn't update our mutation.
Oh, we did not update the mutation. Good call. And it's funny because I was just coming to look at the mutation. Yeah. All right, cool. So it's already reloaded.
Yeah, I just saved.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so boop. We take that out again. Boop, boop. There we go. And now we've only got one response, which is good. So post 200. Okay. Response. Boom. Updated. There we go. So now when we reload, moment of truth, folks. Moment of truth. Hey, there it is.
Oh.
Absolutely saved into our ephemeral fake GraphQL database. Love it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. This has been a very eye-opening experience for me into the world of web components, and just more importantly, how you're using GraphQL with this. This is really cool stuff. I am really impressed by this project. The developer experience looks amazing. It's well thought out. I love that we actually hit this issue with the mutation structure, the API, because it really got to showcase how like you don't get caught in traps where then like you're messed up, right? Like what do I do now? There's a way for you to get around those kind of issues. And then yeah, that's cool. I think it'd be really cool to take a couple more minutes, maybe like if anyone in chat has a question about Apollo elements, or if there's anything you want to highlight, and then we'll do that. And then I think we can wrap up there. We've already got one question, which is SSR ? Which I just imagine does it support SSR?
Okay, so that's a really good question. There are a couple of different answers. So the first answer is that it depends on what you mean by SSR, right? Because there's different goals of SSR. There's the SSR for putting your content in a crawler readable HTML, right?
Yeah.
So to answer that question is that Google nowadays, I think, and Bing also, they read Shadow DOM. They execute JavaScript and they read your Shadow DOM. So if you have content in Shadow DOM, they'll read it and they'll index that page for you. So that's one side of the answer.
Right.
Another side of the answer is that sometimes you want to do SSR for initial page load, where you want to make sure that it's all rendering as fast as possible in the browser. So one way that I've tackled that in the past is just by sending the data over for the cache, right? With cache.extract on the server with Apollo client running in SSR mode, and then you set a JSON string in the index.html.
Right.
So if you do it that way, since these are web components, they tend to be very lightweight. Like lit element is very small. Apollo Elements is reasonably small, right? So once your small amount of JavaScript boots up, it'll grab that data and render. Another approach that you can take would be to render your content as HTML on the server using like something like 11t plugin GraphQL, for example, and then like have your web components progressively enhance the page.
Got it.
Right. And then in terms of lit HTML SSR, I'm happen to be like those solutions that I mentioned kind of satisfy me as a developer. Other developers have different needs and need to have different things. So I happen to know that the lit HTML team are working on SSR stuff, and they're actually nearing a release candidate for their next version, which should open the door to a lot more SSR things. So watch this space.
Very cool. Very cool. So we'll wait a second to see any other questions coming from chat, but I have one or two of my own. So I guess mainly the biggest one is like, who is the Apollo Elements team? Like, who's behind the project and how did this come to be? And yeah, I'm just very interested in like how this developed. It looks like a very polished library, and yeah, so I'm just very curious, like who's been working on this.
So Apollo Elements is me.
No way, just you? Pretty much.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, most of the code is from me. There's like PRs and contributions from like a number of people who have also gotten involved. But
yeah, for sure.
I've done most of the initiative.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like a 2-year-old project, and I've been using it at work for my day job.
Yeah.
And things like that. And the door is open. The more the merrier. I mean, people who have been involved can tell you, I hope, that they had a good experience issuing PRs and opening issues and stuff like that.
Awesome. Very cool. And for anyone who might be joining in later, I've again dropped the link to the repo in the chat in case you missed it. So folks can check it out there. So then my next question is like, how can, aside from like code contributions, are there other ways? Like I'm noticing that it looks like the project can be sponsored, or you have like also have an open collective. Is this accurate? Mm-hmm. Cool. So let me grab the.
Yeah, that's right. I have an open collective where people who want to use Apollo Elements can contribute financially. We do have like some expenses, like
for sure.
I think I'm paying Heroku like $7 a month or something like that to run a demo of subscriptions, because you can't just like spin up a cloud function to do web sockets. It's a little, so there's like hosting and stuff like that.
Yeah. Plus, it's just
there's an open collective. People are opening issues. People can come in and chat on, or the Polymer Slack is a really good place to catch me.
Nice.
I want to actually maybe show off on the website a couple more things, because there's a lot more to the project than what we've seen so far.
Cool. So I'm opening up the website, and let me flip back over, because right now I got just me and you kind of like on view. So now we're back over. Okay, so I've got the website pulled up and everyone can see it.
Okay, yeah, so if you could scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
So these icons that we see here are like some of the different ways that the library supports developers in writing their web components, right?
Gotcha.
So you can write your stuff using vanilla JavaScript and no backing library, with lit element like we've seen today,
we did.
with haunted, right?
Yep, that's the hook.
Microsoft's Fast.
Yeah.
Fast element, which is like Microsoft's new web components library, very interesting technique that they're taking.
Cool.
Hybrids is another one of these like very interesting. Actually, you know what? Let's go up again and click on the guides button, please.
All right.
So if you go down to like your building apps on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And let's scroll down a little bit until we see a code example that has
here we
the
go.
frameworks.
Ooh, nice.
Right. So here's
docs.
like.
Did you write all these docs?
Yeah, for the most part. I had some help from some of the users, but pretty self-explanatory. You can see how you stay.
I had to give you a round of applause. Yeah, and this is cool. So yeah, if we go through, I mean, well, this is like vanilla JS, so you're gonna get what you get there. But let's go take a look at these. Yeah. So this is cool. Yeah, which is what we did today. This is what we did today. And then, yeah,
Right.
so you could just
Yeah,
start
so
to see.
Fast Element has this very cool functional API where all of it's similar to lit HTML, except that all of the interpolations are functions. So like if you really like
Interesting.
function composition and partial application and curried functions and stuff like
This
that,
is the one for you. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
dive in. It's a ton of fun.
And then if you want
and then
your
Haunted
React
hooks
feel.
API,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, the very React hooksy feel. And then Hybrids is a really unique, interesting
Ooh.
project. Totally different from anything else out there. Like your component is just this Pojo, plain old JavaScript object.
Yeah.
A tag name, and and it has its own version of HTML tag template literals. So it's not exactly lit element syntax. It's like a little bit different.
Yeah.
They do all these heuristics that you don't have to worry about attributes versus properties, which can sometimes be a stumbling block for developers.
For sure.
Very, very cool stuff.
This is really cool. So again, yeah, sorry to clap over you when we were talking before, but these are very impressive doc sets. It's a very impressive framework. I know you've been working on it for 2 years, but just kudos to you for this project. This is really awesome. I'm so glad, that you came on stream today and were able to share this with folks. This is really awesome. Great work all around. One more time. Give you another round of applause and some air horns. Yes, absolutely love it. I guess last thing would be like, is there anything maybe that, anything else you want to share real quick before we wrap up? We're right here at the end. Like, I don't know, anything you're working on, or, I mean, we just covered a lot of stuff, but just if you had any last minute thoughts or anything you wanted to share, you could also be like, no, I already shared everything with you. So now just come on over and try the project out and let me know, how you like it.
I'm working on something pretty cool. It's not quite ready for public consumption yet, but like the declarative mutation component that we used over there, depending on your use case, you can use it to write a GraphQL app in HTML, like just HTML, just like one index.html, and there's your whole GraphQL app.
That's wild.
But we don't have anything quite like that yet for queries, right? So like, what if you want to display data? Well, I am working on something for that, and it's going to be pretty cool with its own templating language. So watch this space. It's going to be very lightweight with your query templating. Like you put in little mustache handlebars, whatever. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Watch the space for that, and do give Apollo Elements a try, and let me know how it works for you. If it's covering your use case, if there's something you want to add to it. I'm very happy to get bug reports, pull requests, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up and say this too. If you can't try it out or do any of that, support financially if you can. $2 a month, $5 a month makes a difference. It's impactful. It empowers Benny to be able to take this project and continue to improve it and make it usable by more and more developers, folks. And so that stuff really helps. I know I'm going to be going over there and hitting that sponsor button when we get off stream. I appreciate the work that you do for the GraphQL and Apollo community. It's really awesome. I can't thank you enough. Again, absolute pleasure having you on. And with that, I guess we'll go ahead. We'll wrap up here. Thank you, everyone in chat, for joining us. Thank you for your insightful and also funny at times comments as well. We love having you all here. It's amazing. This was such a good stream. Thank you one last time, Benny, for coming. And I guess,
thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll get out of here. So we'll see you later, folks. Have a good day. And that's it. It's a wrap.